allow me to present to you the ultimate Toaru watch order, the 100% objective watch order, which is the most optimal and best way to start a series. Are you ready for it? Brace yourself. And here it is, the greatest Toaru watch order ever created, as one would expect from a superfan like myself. Wait, this isn't the anime? These are books! Reading is for real nerds, not weebs like me who watch brain-dead Chinese cartoons with waifus like Misaka Mikoto I can salivate over and watch the best videos about her. Like this video. I watch it all the time. I understand that Netflix and chill is perhaps sometimes more appealing to do than read a giant novel series that is competing with One Piece in terms of length. But it's kind of true that you weebs have no one to do that with anyway, so what does it matter? So Aeon, why should I, a casual fan of the series, or a casual fan of anime in general, read the novels? Well, I'm glad you asked. In this video, I will do my best to try and convince you that reading such a large series is worth your time and that you should get on it ASAP. And since I'm a nice guy, tips fedora and strokes neckbeard, I will tell you all where to read it. So, let us begin as we dive into the reasons why you should check out the novels of Toaru Majutsu no Index. Number 1. The Great Adventure. If you probably asked One Piece fans why their series is worth all the time it takes to catch up from the beginning, they would probably say the adventure. Toaru Majutsu no Index nearly has 50 volumes, and that's excluding all the spin-offs, side stories and parody stories. I think what puts most fans off reading them is how big the series is, as fans tend to like short and snappy series generally. However, Index being a long series actually gives it a lot of perks, which I think makes the story even better than if it was shorter and had already ended by now. You get to spend a long time with these characters and see them grow over a long period. Well, not long period for them since the story takes place within months and doesn't really have any time skips. But you get a gist. You get to see the characters fight new foes and explore different aspects of the world. It feels like the reader is with the characters on this sci-fi, mystery, fantasy, action adventure. You get to bond with these characters more as a result, and if you like the characters, you get to spend more time with them on their adventures. I wouldn't exactly call Index an adventure series as one of its specific genres, as while the characters do occasionally get to travel, the series is set firmly in the location of Academy City. I would say the universe as a whole is the adventure, as while the story mostly takes place in one city, there are so many aspects to the world Index is set in that the scale of the series seems much larger. The main premise of the series in its early stages was the magic and science sides trying to avoid a war with each other, but each respective side is layered with so many elements that make them really interesting to discover more about. The novel makes you really appreciate the different dimensions there are to the world from the different factions, abilities, and lore we get from the series. Additionally, since the series is still ongoing, you always have something to look forward to when a new volume comes out, and we're lucky we get such quick translations on Bakasuki. And it's not like Berserk or Hunter x Hunter where updates are far from regular. With Index we get like 3 volumes per year, which makes it really satisfying to catch up as new content will likely be dropping soon. There are always more stories in Index with your favourite characters to look forward to. Index isn't hindered by a rushed premature ending like other series can experience. At the cost of this, you might assume because Index keeps going on and on, the quality might have dropped similar to many other long-running Battle Shonen series. But honestly, the author Kamachi Kazuma is a mad genius. This is because of his ability to think of new, unique ideas that become well integrated into the story and rarely feel forced. Shame the Fullbringer arc in Bleach did the opposite of this. Another thing I'd say to people who are turned off by reading Index because of the length is that honestly, you don't have to start it thinking you're going to have to read all of it. Just view each volume as its own self-contained story at first. Indeed, the first 12 or so volumes are very much like that to begin with, until the series develops into a more continuous overarching narrative. So, if you read the first volume of Index, for example, the main plot point is resolved by the end of the volume. Therefore, you can ultimately decide if the world, themes, and characters appeal to you enough so that you want to continue it, where things get even better the more you decide to read. People often forget that the first volume of Index was written as a one-shot volume. So, who says you can't enjoy it as such? Although, if you like your first step into the world of Toaru, I doubt things will be the same for you again. Number 2. The unique premise and world. From afar to some anime fans, Index may appear like a generic fantasy light novel series, but it is far from it. Okay, the series does fall into a decent number of light novel stereotypes. Main character is an underdog with an overpowered ability, large female cast which main character must save, fan service of said female cast, psychotic white-haired anime character, and more tropes to name a few. To be honest, Index helped mould these tropes when light novels weren't as mainstream as they were now. Index released in 2004 after all. Also, I wouldn't call Index a harem series despite having many female characters fall for Toma. As harem implies, there is a group of girls following after him 24/7 to compete for him, and this honestly rarely happens in Index, if not never happens. Usually one main girl gets a spotlight in the arc, and no, the girls aren't always the damsel in distress that needs saving. Sometimes they are the villain with actual complex morals and motivations that help mould Toma into a more interesting character. So there isn't like a large group that follows Toma full of girls every time, like in High School DxD for example. Also, if you read New Testament, which is the second light novel series of Index, Kamachi does play around with the trope of harems and depicts having one as actually a bad thing. Not in one, but actually 2 arcs in New Testament. Kamachi does like to poke fun and parody popular light novel tropes, most recently in the latest volume of Index, where he made fun of isekai fans and the subgenre as a whole by having a man-child virgin middle-aged character say this. I have no problem with storytelling with classical gender roles in it. That's just my opinion, and not might be yours. Does that mean all the women in Index are submissive in the series? Hell no. There are a lot of badass female characters in the series. A lot of them have flaws as individuals, just like the male characters, which makes them more interesting than perfect Mary Sue type characters you see in some fictional work nowadays. The series also has a surprising amount of female fans considering the fan service and the way that a vast minority of people who read it that could interpret Index as a perhaps sexist series. Hell, we even have Railgun and plenty of other scenes in the entire franchise suggesting that girls can stand up for themselves and be badass. Anyway, I apologise for going off at a tangent on that point. I still haven't talked about what makes the series one of the most original series I've ever read. I already discussed some of the framework that includes cliches, but what unique features do we get to complement this framework and allow Index to stand above its competition? Ultimately, the themes and world of the series makes it stand out amongst the pile of garbage light novel series, which are pretty common in the modern light novel industry. The magic versus science premise is absolutely ingenious, and the way the world is structured. The magic side is composed of religions, cabals, magic users that use history and culture, and of course religion, for their spells. The science side, with advanced tech, psychic abilities known as Esper powers that use real physics, well, somewhat real physics. Of course it's somewhat fictional, but It has basis from real physics, that's what I mean. And this is incorporated into the power system. How both sides contrast with the two unique power systems, but how they emerge and integrate the more you read and understand the world. Honestly, it's hard to find another series that is like this. The ideas are so unique, thanks to the mind of Kamachi Kazuma, the author. His ideas are sometimes completely batshit crazy, but in a similar way to the JoJo mangaka Hirohiko Araki's ideas, except the bizarre stuff in Index has more of a logical set of rules that govern what happens, rather than the absurdities that happen in JoJo that have only a couple very basic laws that can determine what happens. Index also stands out with how it handles themes of what is good and bad. The heroes are often flawed and aren't necessarily entirely good people. Even Toma can be interpreted as someone who is so self-righteous for his own good. The villains are rarely one-dimensional. They often have good intentions, but try the wrong methods to get their goals. And this makes them more compelling as characters. Even the side and background characters have quirks that make them interesting and stand out, despite the lack of any screen time. Index does have a very large cast, but each one contributes something to the universe, even the 10,000 Misaka clones, which I think is very tough to do. Index has a very extensive and vibrant cast, and you're certain to find at least 10 characters or even more that you absolutely love. Now on to number 3. Index has something for everyone. Now I know Index is a battle shonen light novel clearly aimed for a teenage audience, but each arc of Index can feel distinct in some ways when it delves into other genres. In Index you have action, sci-fi, fantasy, drama, Kamachi attempting to write romance, thriller, slice of life, some psychological, and that adventure I referred to earlier. All these genres bundled into one series. I truly think Index has something for everyone. Like moe cute girls doing slice of life stuff? Index, well, more Railgun has it at least. Want to see characters have an identity crisis, fall deep into despair, and have a mental breakdown? Index has it. Want a complex philosophical debate represented by two guys trying to beat the shit out of each other? Index has it. Of course, every arc has elements and genres that the other arcs don't, as Kamachi tends to experiment with different tones and genres depending on the arc. So likely Index has something in it for you, even if you dislike action light novel series. Give it a shot, you might end up enjoying it. Now we are on to number 4. It's way better than the Index anime. I did already make a video kind of about this, which explored the main issues the anime had when compared to the novels, so I'll include that link in the description of this video. Overall, the anime did not flesh out the characters as well as they could have done, making them seem rather bland or generic, such as Toma or style, for example. Similar things can be said about how the story is told. Visual storytelling doesn't help tell the story of Index to the viewers, as the plots are quite complex and need a sufficient amount of exposition, which the anime condensed massively. This makes many arcs in the story confusing to the viewer. Reading the novels helps understand the arcs more, and you actually bond with the characters in the novels, rather than the anime where a lot of the characters are boring or bland or aren't fleshed out well. It makes the story more interesting and enjoyable, and it's one of the main reasons why the Index novels are so much better than the anime. There is also a decent amount of important details the anime never included, and content that the anime either changed or didn't animate, so you might be surprised at the differences in a couple of the early arcs of Index. Lastly, we have number 5. The novels are very easy to find. You can now buy the entire first series of the Index light novel, which is known as Old Testament in the fandom, from Yen Press, which is a light novel publishing company. I'm not sponsored by them, just clarifying. Me and other hardcore fans of the series actually do have some notable nitpicks at some of the terms and names they translated in their version of the story. But they are worth getting to support the series in the West, as the fandom is very much like a cult following here. It's definitely not as popular as it is over in Japan. So, Index needs all the support it can get, so we can get further releases. You can also read New Testament and Genesis Testament online at Bakasuki, and I will include that link in the description. You can also find the Old Testament volumes via download, which were removed off Bakasuki after Index got licensed by Yen Press. And I won't provide this link in case I get in trouble for dropping it. But you should be able to find it easy enough if you do some simple Google searching. Just remember to support the official release, so we are likely to get New Testament published in the West, because that'd be great. And I think I will end the video here. So that's 5 reasons you should check out the Index light novel. It's my favourite series of all time. Honestly, the world and characters are incredible, and I just can't put it into words, really. Words don't do it justice, so the best way you can experience the series is just reading it yourself. Please just give Volume 1 a try, just see if you like it, and enjoy the ride, enjoy the adventure, that's all I can say. So I hope you are inspired by this video, perhaps to read the novels, but like I said, words don't give it justice. But please just vouch for my opinion and go for it. So thank you for watching, subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'm a Toraru YouTuber who uploads regular videos about the series, so if you're a fan of the series, definitely subscribe. And thank you so much for my fans for supporting me still. I appreciate it. So thank you, and stay tuned for the next video. Bye bye.